In a world that feels disconnected, often uncertain and overwhelming, there has never been a more important time to come back to love. I'm Robyn Vogel, psychotherapist, relationship expert, love and intimacy coach, and the author of Come Back to Love, A Path to Healing. For over 20 years, I've been sitting with people in their most tender, courageous moments, the heartbreaks, the longing, the walls they built around their hearts, and the quiet hope that real love is still possible. I want to tell you that it is. This show is a sanctuary, a place to heal the past, reconnect with yourself, and fall in love again with your life, with others, and most importantly, with yourself. Welcome to Come Back to Love. I'm Robyn Vogel, and we are on KMET, your ABC News radio affiliate station. Come Back to Love airs in Southern California on KMET 1490 AM or 98.1 FM. We are here Thursdays, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, which is 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now let's begin. I'm excited to be here with you. I'm happy to be here with you every single week. I wanted to do something a little different today. Every week on this show, we talk about love. We talk about healing. We talk about the patterns that keep us stuck and the practices that help us move forward. And I'm going to keep doing that. That work isn't going anywhere. But today I want to zoom out. I want to talk about something I've been sitting with for a long time, something that has been quietly shifting in how I understand this work and in how I understand what healing actually is. Because here's something I've been noticing. Many of the people who come to me, people who have done real work on themselves, who have been in therapy, who understand their attachment style, who can name their patterns and their sleep, they are still stuck. If you feel this, if you're in this category, welcome especially to today's episode. I want to say it's not because you haven't healed enough, but for those that feel this way, I think perhaps you're asking the wrong question. For years, and I include myself in this, most of us in the healing world have been asking, how do I fix this? How do I heal what's broken? How do I get over what happened so I can finally have the relationship I want? Those are real and important questions. And the work that you're doing really matters. But here's a deeper question underneath those questions that most people never get to. Instead of, how do I heal? How about, who am I becoming? I want you to hold that question through this entire episode. Who am I becoming? That shift from healing as repair to healing as transformation is what I want to explore with you today. Again, I've been doing this work for over 20 years, 25, I think at this point. I've sat with hundreds and hundreds of people in their most vulnerable, courageous moments. And what I've come to understand is that the deepest healing isn't about getting back to who you were before the heartbreak or before the loss, before the divorce, before the fill in the blank. It's really about becoming someone you may have never been before. Someone who doesn't just understand their patterns, but lives differently because of that understanding. Someone who doesn't just know they're worthy of love, but actually feels it in their body, in how they move through the world. That is what we're exploring today. Again, I'm Robyn Vogel. This is Come Back to Love on KMET. And today I want to introduce you to a new way of thinking about your healing journey. So stay with me. Let's start by reading some questions that I hear often. See if any of these sound familiar to you. Has therapy failed me? I've done so much work. I've been in therapy for years. I understand exactly why I do what I do. I'm still here and making the same choices, attracting the same people, feeling the same feelings. What am I missing? Here's another one. Why do I understand my patterns but still feel so stuck? I can see it happening in real time. I watch myself literally watch myself pull away when someone gets close or starts to lean in. I see myself leaning back. I'm watching it in real time. I notice myself choosing unavailable people over and over again. Why am I attracted to people who are not available? I know I overgive to learn love. That's another thing I notice. I know all of this, and I still do it. What is wrong with me? I want to answer both of those questions because the answer is the same for both. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Therapy hasn't failed you. You haven't failed you. But here's what's true. Insight alone, no matter how deep, no matter how hard won, is not enough to change the nervous system. Let me say that again because it's really important. Understanding your patterns is necessary, but it's not sufficient. It's not everything. The mind can know something completely, and the body can continue acting as if it doesn't. And vice versa, by the way. I had a client, I'll call her Sarah, who came to me after years of therapy. She was brilliant, self-aware, emotionally articulate. She was a pleasure to work with. She could map her entire relational history in precise detail. She understood her abandonment wounds, her anxious attachment as a result, the way her father's emotional unavailability had shaped her relationships. And yet she was still choosing emotionally unavailable partners every time. When she came to me, she was exhausted, not from not knowing what was going on, but from knowing and still not being able to change. What Sarah needed wasn't more insight. She needed a different kind of work that goes beneath the mind, into the body, into the nervous system, and the deep layers of who she is. That's the work I want to talk about today. Because here's the truth. Healing isn't just a mental process. It's not just emotional, sharing. And it isn't just about understanding. It's a full system transformation. Mind, body, emotions, and something even deeper than all of this. Something I've come to think of as the soul's journey. And that brings me to something I want to share with you today that I've been developing for years. I call the Come Back to Love framework the 4 gates. The 4 gates framework I want to walk you through today, not as a lecture, but as an invitation to see your own healing journey differently. By the way, you can find this all in my book, Come Back to Love, A Path to Healing. You can find that anywhere you can buy books online. Thank you to Kohler Books for publishing the book last February 2026. Just want to invite you to take a look at it, because what I'm going to share right now is a snippet of what's fully expressed in the book. So there's a little selfless promotion. All right, so I want to walk you through the 4 gates framework. And again, like over the 25 years that I've been working with people and doing my own work, I've come to understand that deep, lasting transformation moves through 4 distinct doorways. I call them, as I said, the 4 gates. Each one is a different layer of who we are, and each one needs its own kind of attention. Gate 1, beyond the emotion. This is where most healing begins and where most healing stops. Beyond the emotion means learning to feel your feelings fully without being controlled by them. It means moving through grief, anger, shame, and fear rather than around them. Most people either suppress their emotions entirely. I learned to do this as a child. And you say things. I used to say this all the time. I'm fine. I'm over it. I'm okay. Or the opposite of suppression, complete overwhelm. Neither one of those things is healing, actually. So beyond the emotion, the work that we do and beyond the emotion is the capacity to be with the feelings, be with them fully, completely, and still remain yourself, still choose, still be present. It's a kind of grief work, of processing heartbreak, of letting yourself feel what you've been avoiding. For Sarah, this meant actually crying, actually letting herself feel the grief of a childhood where emotional connection wasn't safe. Not analyzing it, but actually feeling it. Some words that people are using these days are productive discomfort. Like it's productive in your own healing and growth to feel uncomfortable. All right, we're moving to gate 2, beyond the mind. This is where neuroplasticity comes in and the research founded in neuroscience. Beyond the mind means identifying the beliefs, the deep, often unconscious stories that your mind has been running on autopilot. They might sound like this: love isn't safe. I have to earn love. I'm too much. I'm not enough. Real love doesn't last. Love is for other people, not me, etc., etc., etc. These beliefs were formed early. They made complete sense in the environment where they developed. And they have been quietly making your relationship decisions for you ever since. Beyond the mind is the work of finding those beliefs, uncovering them, understanding where they came from initially, and through specific, repeated come back to love practices, beginning to install new ones, new beliefs. Not by deciding to believe something different, like, I believe this, but I'm going to decide to believe that instead. That doesn't actually work, not fully and completely. But by practicing it in the body until the nervous system accepts it as true. This is really, really powerful work. Once we've worked with gate 1 and gate 2, we're going to move to gate 3, beyond the human, the soul's journey. This is the one most healing frameworks leave out entirely, and it may be the most important one. Beyond the human asks, what if your heartbreak was not a punishment, but an invitation? What if the losses and ruptures and painful relationships of your life were not random, but were actually the exact experiences your soul needed to crack you open? I know that might sound like a reach, especially when you're in the middle of pain, but I've watched it again and again. I've watched people reach a point in their healing where the question shifts from, why did this happen to me? To, what is this asking me to become? That shift from victim of your story to author of your story is what I mean by the soul's journey. It doesn't mean the pain wasn't real. It doesn't mean that what happened was even okay. It just means you are larger than what happened to you. And I actually have a very specific method that I guide my clients and participants through that enables them to get some space and distance from what happened and from the victim mentality and the victim energy, so they can actually have a much greater perspective on what happened in their lives. This, for me personally, was so healing. It really moved me from, oh my goodness, how could I possibly have experienced 4 very specific, actually 5, actually 6, I can keep going, deaths and losses. What is it about my life or about me that's having me experience all of this? But when I did the gate 3 work myself, beyond the human, getting to the soul's journey, wow, did I have a perspective that I never had before, and it really shifted everything for me. I now see the experiences as an invitation to who I've become and who I'm becoming. It's a massive, massive transformation. Now we move to gate 4, befriending the body. This is maybe the most underrated gate of all. Everything we've talked about, the emotions, the beliefs, the soul's journey, all of it has to land where? In the body, because the body is where we hold old patterns. It's where they live. It's the only place new ones can actually take hold. So befriending the body means learning to listen to your body's signals, to trust its wisdom, to use somatic practices, breath, movement, touch, to complete the healing that the mind alone cannot finish. I just want to say that again. The mind alone cannot finish the healing. We have to befriend the body to take another giant step forward. Sarah's breakthrough didn't happen in a therapy session where she understood something new. It happened in a moment during a somatic practice we were doing together, where she felt for the first time in her body what it's like to be safe, what it's like to feel safe. Not to think about safety, but to actually feel it on the inside. That's the difference. That's a huge difference. So these are the 4 gates approach to come back to love, beyond the emotion, beyond the mind, beyond the human, and befriending the body. And here's what I want you to hear, my friends. You may have been doing this work of 1 or 2 of these gates for years. But if any of the gates remain closed, the transformation stays incomplete until you open the next gate, and until you, in fact, open all 4 gates and do the work. That's the complete system. And that's the complete system that I've developed and that I've documented and that I've studied and researched. And that is come back to love. So it's not a criticism of anything you've done before at all. There's no right, wrong, good, or bad. So please don't hear it that way. This is an invitation for you to step in more fully, to go further than you've ever gone before. I invite you to join me. And just simply go to comebacktolove.com for more information. And if you have any questions, you can fill out that contact form on my website. You can also email me, Robyn, ROBYN, at comebacktolove.com. All right, I have some listener questions with me. I wanted to answer a few of them that I think are alive for a lot of you right now. The first one that came in is, what if my heartbreak is actually not an invitation? Like I hear you say, Robyn, again and again. But I want to say, after inviting a deep breath, it almost always is. This isn't a spiritual bypass or anything like that. This isn't like everything happens for a reason, said to someone who's still bleeding. But the deeper sense of the heartbreak that you've experienced, the loss you've experienced, the grief, the chaos of your past, whatever it is for you, it all has information in it for you. For you. That's the key. It might have information about what you've been settling for in your life. There may be information about the patterns that you've been running, about the version of love you were willing to accept. Underneath all of that is an invitation to something new, something different, something more true, that is in alignment with who you truly are. That's big. Okay, another question. Can I stop trying to fix myself? A lot of people ask that. I want to respond with, yes, please stop. Not because the work stops, but because the orientation shifts, the framework shifts. There is such a profound difference between healing yourself because you feel like you're broken and need fixing, and growing because you're curious about who you're becoming. One is driven by shame. The other is driven by love. The 4 gates work is not about fixing you. It's about freeing you. That's a huge distinction. Okay, third question. How do I know if I'm awakening instead of falling apart? This is a big one. I like to say falling together. I learned that years ago. That was kind of a hard concept to grasp when I was crying my eyes out at a workshop and couldn't stop crying, and said to the facilitator, I can't stop crying. And he said, we don't want you to. I want you to keep going and going and going until you can't anymore. And that's when I started learning this language of falling together. Because first we have to dismantle and fall apart before we can rebuild, right? The phoenix rises from the ashes. Here's what I've noticed. Falling apart can feel like losing yourself. Awakening feels like finding yourself, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's disorienting, even when nothing looks the way you thought it would. The difference is your orientation, your framework, how you're looking at it. Falling apart collapses inward. Awakening, even when it's painful, has a forward direction to it. a sense, however faint, that something's opening. If you're asking this question, if you're wondering whether you're awakening rather than falling apart, that wondering in itself is a sign. People who are simply falling apart don't usually ask that question. And I want to say, when you're falling apart, I invite you to shift the language to falling together, because something is going to rise from those ashes. Before I let you go today, I want to give you something to carry into your week. Not a practice exactly, more of an invitation. At this point, you really do know that I love that word, invitation. I invite you to find a quiet moment this week, maybe this weekend, maybe tonight, morning, whenever you have a moment to sit with these two questions. You might want to write them down. The first is, what if nothing is wrong with me? Just let that land. What if nothing is wrong with me? What would be different if you approached your healing and your life from a completely different place of not fixing what's broken anymore, but from a place of genuine curiosity about who you're becoming? Remember, I asked you to hold that question through this whole episode. Who am I becoming? The second question, what if my life is trying to awaken me rather than punish me? What if every heartbreak, loss, every painful pattern was not evidence that you're doing it wrong, but an invitation to go deeper than you've ever gone before? You don't have to have answers right now. These aren't questions to get answered in one sitting. They're questions to hold, to breathe with, to meditate on, to live into. Carry them with you this week. If what we explored today resonated, if you felt something open when we talked about the 4 gates, when I asked if nothing is wrong with you, how would your life be? Or any of the questions I've asked today, I want to invite you to join me somewhere, someplace really special. This August, in about a month, I'll be teaching at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. Easy to fly into New York City and quick ride up to Rhinebeck. It's beautiful. One of the most respected personal growth centers in the country. The workshop is called Come Back to Love, and it's built entirely around what we talked about today. 5 days together of going through all 4 gates in a small, intimate, sacred, held container in one of the most beautiful settings I know. If something in you is ready for this next level of work, I would love to have you there. The details are at comebacktolove.com. You can also find them on the Omega website. Just search for my name. And if you're not ready for a full retreat yet, start with a free 30-minute phone conversation with me. I just love to talk to people. I love to hear your story. I would love to understand what you're getting from listening to the radio show and answer any questions that you have. You can book your free call at comebacktolove.com. Again, I'm Robyn Vogel, and this is KMET. I invite you to be gentle with yourself. Love is possible, and it starts with coming back to you. I look forward to seeing you next week and every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific or 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing you next week.